Hi, Taurus, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I'm going to be doing your January 2022 Mercury Retrograde reading for you. Now, I ask if this reading resonates with you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will be listed and linked in the description box below. And if you hear any snoring in the background or anybody moving around, that is my dog Esme. Don't pay her any attention. Okay, so now let's begin with the meditation. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from the body like storm clouds, letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as we enter into this safe and loving space. So let's see what the tarot has to say. How will Taurus be affected by the January 2022 Mercury retrograde? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Okay. So at the bottom is our rooted self. The left-hand side is our inner self. The middle, our heart, our emotional self. The right-hand side, the public arena, the public self. So let's see what the cards have to say. We have the Magician at our root, which I love, and we have the Death card, which is Scorpio energy. So if we have Scorpio within our natal chart, excuse me, if we have Scorpio within our natal chart, that comes through very powerfully at the root of our personality during this time. There's also going to be a huge amount of transformation, a huge amount of deeper understanding of ourselves and what we want during this Mercury retrograde, which we might kind of have a tendency to poo-poo during this time because we're going to think, oh, well, you know, it's Mercury retrograde. Everything is so chaotic. How can I make any really good decisions? Or how do I know what it is that I really want during this time? But we're transforming towards something more. We're stepping into kind of like a bigger leadership role within our own lives, within our own selves. And that's really, really cool. We have the High Priestess, which just totally backs that up. And we have the Empress. Again, very, very strong feminine energy, which is great for us as we're ruled by Venus. We have very strong feminine energy within us. And there's just such a power coming forward here. We're creating something, we're birthing something forward, which is going to be really quite beautiful. We're also seeing things more as they truly are during this Mercury retrograde, which again, we can find a bit confusing because we're going to be like, well, are they showing me who they truly are? Or is this just a miscommunication sort of thing? So don't give people too much of a benefit of a doubt during this time. We have the Ace of Cups, and we're definitely taking that gift and moving forward with it, which I love. And then we have the Six of Pentacles and the Eight of Swords. I was wondering where the Mercury retrograde energy was going to come in. The Eight of Swords is this distrust that we have for ourselves. We're way too much in our own heads. We're going to overanalyze, overthink, like everything during this time. So just be mindful of this for ourselves, that we're actually going to have some really beautiful things come in, but because we're overthinking, we're overanalyzing, it's going to be like, well, I missed it. Like, yeah, I didn't see it as it was coming. So again, just be aware of this for your own well-being during this Mercury retrograde. So let's look at the energy we need to be mindful of during this time. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. The Knight of Wands. This is fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. This is a person who isn't going to think things through, is just going to charge forward. We need to be mindful of that for ourselves, because there's going to be this sense of, I'm just going to go, I'm just going to charge, I'm just going to do. And Spirit's saying here, like, no, 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 think things through. Think things through. Don't overthink, which is going to be our problem. We're either going to go one extreme or another. This is also like, I need things spelt out. I need to have it step by step by step, which is actually something as an earth sign energy, we might think, oh, that's a great idea. I'll like do it step by step type of deal. But what Spirit is saying is like, be very mindful of thinking, oh, I can just plan everything out, and missing the organic moments that are going to come forward during this time. So just being really aware of this is going to be super helpful for us. And then let's see our chakra energy. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. And this is self-mastery. Now, this is the solar plexus chakra, and this is going to be a time where we're really mastering who we are. We're listening to our gut. We're seeing what we desire within our lives, and we're going to have a tendency to want to ignore this, or want to say, oh no, this couldn't possibly be me. And yet it's like, well, why aren't I listening to myself? Why aren't I embracing who it is that I truly am? Because we're going to see different avenues of ourselves, different, understandings of ourselves. As we stand before the altar of our existence, we're going to see that we're not all just one way. We don't have to be this box or this box. There's so much more here that opens to us. So let's talk about this time, astrologically speaking. So on the 14th of January, we have Mercury going retrograde. Now, from the 29th of December to the 14th of January, we have the pre-shadow period. Now, the pre-shadow period is in Capricorn, and we will find that we are really seeking for the answers. We want to find the answers to everything. We don't want not to... Okay, so we're always seeking answers. And that's the thing when this comes up, because we're in Saturn. Saturn is ruled by Capricorn. Well, we're in Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. And we're in this like seeking for so much more. And as we're seeking for so much more, we're also in Aquarius. And we will find that we want to create the perfect set of rules to be able to follow to get ourselves where it is that we want to be. There can't even be this sense of, I want this ultimate freedom. This is my, guide. This is my New Year's resolution for this time, to be able to get to what I want. And it's not saying don't have structure, don't have rules, but also let things happen organically. We're going to be so busy sometimes looking at this step-by-step program that we create for ourselves that we're not going to really be listening to ourselves or tuned in to what we really want or see where it is that we're heading. So just be mindful of this, because it's not how life works. We can't just have enough rules so that it will absolutely force it to happen. We have to embrace the chaos, and that's going to be important for us. It really is during this time. Now, luckily we have Jupiter, which is in Pisces, and this makes us astoundingly friendly and caring and nurturing, and this brings just such a beautiful energy to it that we feel like our angels are always watching over us. We feel like we are connected to something so much more than just the world and the now and what we think things are supposed to be. We also have Neptune in Pisces. Now, Neptune rules Pisces. And Neptune is known as the Lord of the Invisible Kingdom. And that's going to be really something that we're drawn to here. We're drawn to the invisible kingdom of the world. We're drawn to our hearts and our dreams and our self-expression. And it's lucky for us that we have this Capricorn energy to ground us and to say, okay, well, how am I going to make a practical plan? So we're going to find it moving two ways, that we have this tremendous way of embracing our dreams and our freedoms and what it is that we want, but we also need this practical plan to move us forward. And it can become too rigid, and yet can also become too dreamy. So just be aware of this. And we carry this energy into the Mercury retrograde. Now, from the 14th to the 4th of February, from the 14th of January to the 4th of February, we have Mercury retrograde. So Mercury is in Aquarius, and this is a positive place for Mercury to be in. We need to be able to express ourselves through our words and our language and our ideas and our concepts and whatever it is that we're thinking and moving towards. We need to move towards breaking outside of the box, breaking outside of our comfort zone. And even though Mercury is astoundingly comfortable in Aquarius, it kind of makes things a little bit tricky for us, because when Mercury is in retrograde, we find the breakdown of communication has more of a frustrating, overwhelming effect, because there's so much that we want to do. In Aquarius, it's air sign energy, and so there's so much that we want to do, so much that we want to move forward in, and yet we feel like am I? You know, am I doing this the right way? Am I moving forward the right way? We really start to question ourselves. We become very overwhelmed. We see this happening a lot in the public arena. And we have the Six of Pentacles here, which is, what is it? The reciprocal altruism in psychology. It's like, okay, if I help you, you'll help me, and this good deed promotes this good deed type of thing. And we're going to see where the reciprocal altruism has broken down, and we're going to be rather frustrated with things. It's like, why isn't the give and the take here? Why do I feel so trapped, so overwhelmed? And that's going to be because we need to turn inward. It's going to be so important for us to listen to ourselves, to see ourselves, to understand ourselves, and that's going to be a powerful thing. Because as I completely forgot to read this card to us, you know, Mercury is all about thinking and learning and networking and communication. So we have this beautiful power coming forward, and retrograde turns it all upside down. It turns it all upside down, and it makes it so that we question our thoughts. We aren't able to learn things or see things as beautifully as maybe we feel that we should. Networks fall apart, and we're going to be like, well, where did the communication break down? It broke down because of Mercury retrograde. Don't take everything at face value, but this is going to also be really important. When somebody shows you who they truly are, believe them. Like Maya Angelou said, you know, believe who they are when we are shown them, when they let their veil break down just a bit. So be aware of this. And communication, we're going to want to communicate overly. We're almost going to try and make up for, there we go, because I can't say the word right now, make up for what it is that we feel is lacking. We're going to try and go even more in one direction if we feel like things are starting to turn pear-shaped or starting to, you know, fall apart, and then we're going to go all the way in the other direction. So be very, very mindful of this. Now, again, Jupiter is still in Pisces, so that's a very positive place. We still have that nurturing energy around us, and Neptune is in Pisces, so we still have our dreams, we still have our passion, and we have this beautiful concept of the way that we want to move forward. Now, we have Venus in Capricorn, and this kind of messes with us because we're ruled by Venus. And when Venus is out of sorts, Taurus, we feel out of sorts. So that's going to be something that we just have to be aware of during this time. So Venus in Capricorn, it makes it hard for us to express our feelings. And we're going to find it really unhelpful during a Mercury retrograde to not be able to express our feelings, to really even understand ourselves at times. So that's going to be something that makes us feel overly frustrated, especially since we are ruled by Venus. Now, this will also make us rather secretive. It will make us rather withdrawn, which can lead to heightened anxiety. It could lead to, you know, intense sadness, which could turn into depression if we're not careful. If we're not careful, we can feel ourselves becoming very overwhelmed. And that's because we're not letting our hearts express what they need to express. And our hearts here are handing us such a beautiful gift that to walk away from it, to not be able to embrace it, to understand it, that's going to be really trying for us. Mercury trine the moon will give us good memories and peaceful souls and good communication skills. But because we're in retrograde, it feels like we almost get there. Like we almost have everything all lined up. And then again, things fall apart and we start to doubt ourselves. And again, we can't give people the benefit of the doubt. That's a bit harsh. Spirit's saying no. We can't give people the benefit of the doubt, but we can't let people continuously take advantage of us. And we have to be very mindful when somebody shows us their true colors, shows us who they really are. We have to see it. We just have to see it, and we have to embrace it. And it can be difficult for us because we're going to start to see people in a way that we didn't want to see them. Like we thought, oh wow, I thought they were going to be better than that, or I thought they were going to be people that I could rely on, or I thought that they were in my corner, type of thing. I thought we were going to be able to be so much more, and yet it falls apart. There's going to be something here where the trust falls apart. And Taurus, when the trust falls apart, I mean, that's a really hard place for you to come back from. You might never actually come back from that, because trust and understanding and, connection, that is everything to you. Mercury is conjunct Saturn. Now we will find ourselves distrusting our own abilities and our own imaginations, and it will be very decisive for us. We will find it that we become very decisive in the way that we approach things and the way that we, go forward. And this makes things a little bit more complicated. We will also find that it's hard to truly express what we want and what we are thinking. And we're going to to find that we let rules get in the way of our own imagination, of our own expression of what it is that we desire. So that's going to be something that's really rather tricky because, Mercury wants to communicate, wants to connect. Saturn wants the rules. Everything is in retrograde, so it gets turned topsy-turvy. And instead of really being able to communicate the rules that we want and the structure that we want, we find the rules and the structure kind of work against us. And it doesn't mean that we have to go all baccalaureate here and let ourselves just like embrace chaos. What we have to do is say, you know what, there's power and there's purpose to me. I need this balance. And that's going to be one of the things that we really struggle with during this Mercury retrograde. Mercury is going to also be squared Uranus. Now this makes everybody astoundingly opinionated. Everybody thinks that they are right. And we've kind of had enough of this in the world right now. And we're going to find that everybody wants to be, I'm right, you're wrong. We're going to find ourselves being totally frustrated with the amount of over talking that everybody does. It's like the amount of this is me, this is what you need to see type of thing. And it makes us really frustrated. And it makes us, be more on the attack mode because we feel like we're not being heard or we're not being seen. So just be mindful of this. It also makes us tremendously introverted. It's kind of like, if you're not going to listen to me, why would I even bother speaking? And so just be mindful of this. On the 4th on the 4th of February to the 24th of February, we have the post-shadow period. Now the moon is sextile Mercury, and this brings beautiful, peaceful energy and intelligence. We find that we step out of our egos and we need to step into what we truly want. Not even that we step out of our egos, we have to step out of our egos to get to what we truly want, to embrace what we truly need to embrace. Mercury is also going to be sextile Neptune. Now, we have this amazing imagination, yet we find it hard to bring these ideas to life. And we're going to think, well, once it's perfect, once I know everything, then I can bring it forward. And what Spirit is saying is like, step out of the realm of perfection and say, what can it be? Like, I don't care if it's messy. I don't care if it's chaotic. I don't care if it doesn't make sense. Like, what is it that I've created? Because we're going to have the bones of something really beautiful if we let ourselves be able to create and express in the way that we need to. Now, Mercury conjunct Pluto. Now, this alignment brings chaos to our thinking because what it happens is that our subconscious and our conscious thinking start to intertwine. And we're going to start to see things like become a little bit muddled. And what we're going to be really inflexible here with is that I'm right and you just have to listen to my ideas. So we're going to have a tendency, everybody's going to have a tendency to over-explain, to just kind of force you to see why and how come. So just be aware of that. The MC is squared Mercury. Now this makes us intelligent, business savvy, likable, but we're also going to be relentless in what we pursue, in what we desire, and things are going to be more chaotic for us because we're going to be easily distracted. We're going to be a bit scattered. Now, Mercury is going to be trine the North lunar node, and we become very curious about ourselves and about others. We want to dive so deeply in, and we're going to start diving in. We're going to really open up our mind, become aware of what we want and where we're headed, and criticism isn't really going to bother us as much, except we're going to lose interest, except we're going to be like, oh, well, that's not what I thought it was going to be. And we're going to kind of walk away, and we're going to be on the verge of really discovering something big. So just be mindful of this. And the shadow period of Mercury retrograde is like the echo, is still the vibrational effects that Mercury retrograde has. And as Mercury goes into retrograde, the pre-shadow period is like, okay, I know that there's a shift coming. Like, our bodies know that there's a shift coming. How is this going to affect me? Why is this affecting me? What is it that starts to come to life? Because it's going to kind of highlight one thing for us, one theme played over and over again that's brought more into chaos, but also into alignment during our Mercury retrograde. Now, we find ourselves with the Magician standing before the altar of our existence. As above, so below. As I believe it, so it becomes. And as we're embracing this, as we're understanding this, as we're seeing this for ourselves, we're starting to say, can I? Can I embrace my elemental self? Do I know what it is that I intrinsically want, need to be guided forward in? Do I see myself? Do I know myself? Do I have power within myself? And what is happening here as we're standing before the altar of our existence is that we're finding profound transformation come forward. We're looking at the corners of our lives, the north, south, east, west, all ruled by the elements. We're looking at our own elemental self, the way that, fire warms us and, keeps our our bodies moving because we don't have hypothermia, the way that our blood flows through our bodies, the way that food nourishes us, and how we digest, and how we, stay grounded to this earth, our feet grounded to the earth, and also, our voice, the way we express, the way that we fill our lungs. This is all going to be so important. And this all is so important. We just don't always see it. And then we have the death card come in, the transformation of ourselves as we're moving forward, the transformation of what we want and what we need and where it is that we're headed, the transformation of who we are. And this is the dying away of the old self, the rebirth of the new. This is a sense of something so much bigger lies ahead. Are you ready for it? And this is also the morning of, the fact that I'm not maybe where I thought I would be in my life. The fact that I've changed. The fact that, I had these dreams and I had this time frame for myself and I didn't meet them. Does that mean my dreams are over? Does that mean I can't move forward the way that I want to? When we are transforming, sometimes our transformations are painful, and they're always to the next step of awakening and of understanding and of greater seeing of ourselves, because we're going to find that we stand before something greater than we even thought. And that brings us to the High Priestess. And what I love here is that we have 2 major arcana cards in our self. And, at the bottom, yes, we have major arcana cards at our root, but that's only a major arcana deck. Here, our inner self is going to reveal so much to us. A veil is being lifted from our eyes. We can kind of visualize ourselves as being cocooned. And as the veil is lifted, as one layer of the cocoon is cut away, we really start to see ourselves better. We start to see the world around us better. We start to see what we want, what we need, where we're headed, what we desire. And that becomes very life-changing, life-affirming, guiding, powerful for us. The High Priestess comes in and blesses us. The High Priestess is also us embracing our feminine energy more, because in an early form of the tarot, the High Priestess was called the female pope, and that is the Hierophant. The Hierophant is the male pope. The High Priestess is the female pope. So we have the feminine energy counterpart to us really coming forward here, embracing our passion, embracing our desire, looking at what we need, what we want as we connect with the earth. And then we connect with the Earth Mother. So there's a sense here with the Empress. This is the nurturing mother symbol within our lives. Now, this can bring up issues if we have issues with our mother, yes, but this can also bring up issues with nurturing. How much do I nurture? Do I nurture too much or not enough? Am I giving enough care to myself and those around me? Am I not giving enough? What am I birthing forward? What am I creating? What am I listening to within me? What am I not listening to at all? And so the conflict comes forward. But what happens is if we open our eyes to who we are, to what we want, to what we desire within our lives, to where it is that we need to be, we're going to start to see a powerful shift coming. We're going to start to see a powerful sense of ourselves becoming more connected with the mother energy of this earth. And we need to be connected with both the feminine and the masculine. If we leave out one or another, we don't feel fully whole as a human being. And so there's such a power here in this awakening, in this understanding, in this, what am I birthing forward into my world? What do I want to create for myself as I'm seeing things more clearly for me? And then it brings us to a healing. And at our heart during this Mercury retrograde, as everything can feel topsy-turvy, God, Source, Spirit, however you see the divine, the universe, hands us a gift that can overflow us with tears, that can make us question the way that we move forward, that can make us look at things so raw and so openly that we think, am I making the wrong decision? Or where did I go wrong along the way? Or why am I feeling this so deeply? And it's like, I'm feeling it so deeply because I am so connected. And I didn't realize that I needed to be this connected, because we're picking up this gift, and we need to. We don't have to. We don't have to at all. We can ignore this gift completely and say, I'm moving on my way. I don't have time for the emotional namsy-pamsy. But what we're going to find is that if we embrace our emotions, if we look at ourselves with openness and with honesty, we move forward cloaked in the heart chakra, guided above the chaos of the emotions of others, driven forward. Now, it can be that we let other people's emotions guide us, yes. So we have to be very mindful of that. A knight is very telling, because a knight always needs to have a purpose, needs to have a person that they're working for, needs to have guidance forward. So it can be that we use the gift from God, Source, Spirit as the guidance forward for us as we embrace what we love, as we look at who we are, as we're opening up the door. And that would be probably the healthiest way for us to move forward during this time. But we can also find ourselves needing to say, okay, I need to rise above the chaos of emotions, because I'm letting everybody else pull me 18 million different directions. And I can't give, I can't connect, I can't understand the way that I am moving forward if all this chaos is around me? And so there's going to be a point during this time, especially emotionally, where we're taking on too much. And as we start to see things more openly and more honestly for ourselves, as we're starting to create, we're going to think, oh, I just have to take on more. I just have to understand this more. And what Spirit is saying is that we need to kind of quiet things down. And that's going to be where the real answers come. And then it moves us to the Six of Pentacles. And the Six of Pentacles here says give and receive, family, give and receive, family. It becomes the mantra. So we need the balance to come in. We need to see what we are connecting to. The Six of Pentacles is the sense of things being out of balance. Now, am I giving and connecting enough? Or are people giving and connecting enough to me? What is it that I care for? Family is very interesting in the Six of Pentacles because it's like, am I balancing my family with the rest of the world, with the rest of my needs and my desires, especially during this time, especially when we can feel very, very frustrated with the demands that other people have on our lives. And people will always have, well, almost always have demands over our lives. And so actually, I cannot think, well, there are times when people will not, but they're rare. And so here with the Six of Pentacles, it's like, how do I balance everything that is demanded from me? Even just the memories of things. What are they giving? What are they adding to me? What am I giving and taking from them? How is it that I'm moving forward? And it's needing balance. There's going to be a balance here for the betterment of our souls and ourselves and of the way that we move forward. Even at work, it's going to be like, okay, is there a reciprocal give and take? Or isn't there? What is it that I desire? What is it that I want? What is it that I'm opening the door to? And it leads us to the Eight of Swords. And the Eight of Swords says here, frustration, anxiety, trapped. Frustration, anxiety, trapped. And when that becomes our mantra, it makes the world rather gray. It makes the world rather overwhelming. It makes us feel like we have a storm cloud around us. And we feel trapped. I mean, we just do, within our own mind, within our own desires, within the way forward. It's like, how do I get to where it is that I want to be if I don't feel the equal give and take? If I'm questioning everything about myself, if everything becomes a burden, and Mercury Retrograde just makes everything muckier, makes everything harder, makes everything more chaotic, and doesn't give me this understanding. What is it that I see? What is it that I want? Where is it that I'm headed? And that becomes very, very powerful for us. And it also becomes very hard for us to really grasp and understand and call into the power of ourselves during this time. We have to not overthink. We have to not overanalyze, but we have to make sure that we think and analyze and just not run forward sheerly on, spit and vinegar type of thing. So the balance is needed. We need to step out of our own minds. We're not going to have all the answers. We're really going to want them. They're just not going to come. Life is going to move forward in a very interesting way. Do not let it move around us with us being too afraid to really open up the door and go after what we need and what we want. It's going to be very important that we interact, that we open up that door for ourselves. It moves us to our subconscious energy to be mindful of during this time, and it's the King of Pentacles. It's us getting in our own way during this time. It's power and logic and understanding trumping everything else, and us feeling beaten down because of it. So just be mindful of that. We're going to come in with the best of intentions and the best of power and the best of, everything that we can think of. And yet we can over logic ourselves out of it, or we can disconnect from the emotion, which disconnects us from this whole entire time and all the blessings that move us forward. Take time to laugh. Take time to embrace joy. However joy manifests in your life. If it manifests in taking a nice, hot bath, or if it manifests in going for a long hike, or, cross-country skiing, or whatever it is, do it. Do it right now. Maybe not right now, but do it for yourself. You deserve it. And that's going to help you embrace the calming energy that wants to make this Mercury retrograde not so traumatic, not so intense, not so emotionally draining. Because, again, we're ruled by Venus, and Venus is in Capricorn, and it makes it emotionally draining for us. It makes us want to withdraw. It makes us want to hide away. And that's going to be what we have to fight during this time. And also know that love is so strong at our heart that we shouldn't undersell ourselves. We have family at our root. This is our root chakra, and we have family here. So it's the family that we are born into. It's the family that we create around us. It is the family that guides us. It's what we need. It's our foundational rock. Now, it can be that the family is completely dysfunctional and we have others around us, or we are working through the pains and the hurts that have defined us for too long. But what we're going to see here is that we really start to connect with something more, see something bigger, And that's going to be really important for us. Even if it's just meditating on our past lives and the past connections that we have, that's going to be, again, it's going to be a defining factor. It moves us to our subconscious rooted self. And this is the devil. Capricorn energy is going to be really strong during this time. But it's also our restrictions. It's falling into the same patterns. It's addictions and doubts and fears. And it's what society expects of us. And it's what we expect of us. And it's the chains that we put ourselves in. And what we're seeing here is like, am I going to be restrained by these chains forever? Subconsciously, we're kind of asking ourselves, am I going to break this? Am I going to break the endless responsibility, the endless change, the endless hurts and pains and responsibilities, not in, these are my responsibilities. I carry my burden. I see how strong I can become. I see how much I can withstand. Or is it that I'm going to be, I'm going to have my responsibilities, what I think I'm supposed to do, drown me, overwhelm me, and make me doubt myself? It moves us to our subconscious emotional self, inner self. And it is the Three of Cups. The Three of Cups, for me, are those people who raise their glass to us and say, I'm going to celebrate you. Or they should celebrate us. These could be our parents. These could be, teachers, students, I don't know what students, but, classmates. This could be our friends, our family members. And we thought, oh, you're going to celebrate me. You're going to see me. And they never did. Or they just couldn't. They could only celebrate up to a certain point, and they were so broken, so shattered themselves that they couldn't go any further. And this is going to be something where we look at it and say, I can, dive into, and I can try to make all the bad moments good. Right? All the people who didn't believe in me, or let their words haunt me and define me. Or I can look at the people who did believe in me, or even the gumption and power and, determination of myself, where my angels, my spirit guides, divinity around me never gave up on me. And I can see myself becoming so much more than I ever expected. And it's a life now around celebration and friends and joy, instead of around unreasonable expectations that can never be met because they were never met when we were little. It moves us to our subconscious emotional self. And that's the star. That's Aquarius energy. There's strong Aquarius energy within this reading, which is all about freedom. And we need to set ourselves free. We need to fly. We need to set our voice free. And that's one of the hard things with Mercury retrograde. Mercury comes in and kind of, in retrograde and stomps around on everything. And if we let our egos get in the way, it does that quite spectacularly. It really is like, oh, okay, am I doing the right thing? Am I moving forward the right way? Why isn't this what I expected? But if we say during this Mercury retrograde, if we open up our hearts to healing and open up our hearts to the journey that we're on and saying, well, let's see what this becomes. Like, let's see where this leads me. And we let ourselves fly. We'd be quite surprised by the beauty that divinity leads us towards, because we're going to be led towards what we need, not necessarily what we want. It brings us to our subconscious public arena self. And that is the Queen of Pentacles. That is ourselves. And here it says loyalty, charming, wise, loving. Loyalty, charming, wise, loving. That's what we're embracing. That's what we're embracing of ourselves. We're nurturing prosperity and abundance. We're letting it come forward within our lives. We're letting ourselves come forward within our lives. And we're seeing greatness. And we're not denying this greatness. We're not, poo-pooing this greatness. We are embracing us in such a tremendously powerful way that we find ourselves claiming the throne, claiming what we value, claiming what we want, knowing who it is that we are, and doing so with such tremendous grace and elegance that it is just beautiful. All right, Taurus. I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I'm sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. I love you all, and stay safe. Let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy as we embrace the power and the intensity of this time, but also the power and intensity of the love and the guidance that is here for us, that we don't feel trapped, that we don't feel afraid, that we don't feel overwhelmed, even though we know perfectly well that there are going to be times during this Mercury retrograde where we feel all these things and more. Embracing our hearts, trusting our souls, looking at ourselves, knowing that our angels are with us, knowing that we're not alone. That's going to be such a difference. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. forward in peace and in harmony, Taurus.